Thank you to everyone who joined. I'm really grateful for your presence. It's truly a gift for me. I was trying to create a very cute background and my green screen wasn't quite giving, and now it's taking. But I really care about the experience that I create for others. And so, as we talk about, I'm just gonna, okay, I removed the green. As we talk about healing the soul of the workplace, there's really not anything about me that I want to share other than I'm grateful for Aisha's presence in my life. And the one thing I've learned in professional relationships, it really is about relationship, right? It really is like a marriage. And so when you meet people who share the same spirit of the workplace, they typically become lifelong friends. And so I'm so grateful that Aisha and I have become truly friends because, like I mentioned on the pre-event last week, one of the things that attracted me to her was that she embodied the spirit of the type of energy that I wanted to work with. And they say that, people don't really leave jobs, they leave people. And so that's something to think about. If you think about any job that you've ever left or any time an employer broke up with you. I've worked in jobs through the recession, through the really deep recession of 20, whenever that was, 2000 and what, 8? I don't know. But I remember that I was spared. And I was spared because of my work ethic at the time. And of course, they gave me more work that I can handle. But the point was there was a relationship. There was a respect for what I brought to the table. So today I'm just here to remind you of who you are. I'm not here to teach you anything because the moment I go to teach, the human nature is to say, what is she going to tell me that I don't already know? And then you begin to compare the information to what you know versus just being able to receive. So I really come here humbly, again, grateful for your presence and acknowledging your willingness to hear something else about yourself, to be reminded of who you are so that you can restore the spirit in your workplace, whether you are an entrepreneur, whether you are an employee, or whether you are an employer. What we found more now than ever is that people want more in a work relationship than just the exchange of pay for money. And so there has been a mindset with employers, I pay you, you do what I need. And so many people feel taken advantage of, taken for granted, and sometimes even abused because of that old school employer-employee relationship. What we saw in 2021 was that a lot of people left the workforce, and there were news reports all over the world, especially in America, about how people exited the workforce. And you would think with people needing to survive, how could they just quit? But there was a mass exodus from work because what COVID taught us was new skills and how we could survive and how we could potentially rethink our lives. And so the goal, now that things have opened up somewhat, and prayerfully, spiritually, the goal is to have some quick tools to thrive in the place that you're in, to go to the next level if that's where you want to be. And most importantly, to be in divine alignment with what it is that you really want to do with your life. There was a time when you just had to work to make money. And please don't get me wrong. Most of us, including myself, are still in a space where I have to do some type of work in order to take care of myself. But the difference is I want to work on purpose. I don't want my work life and my other life to be separate. And for so many years, I had my work life, and then I would code switch and I'd have my other life, and I had my LLC on the side. And I was constantly competing with myself to be two different people in different spaces. And so what I think the most valuable tool now that people want is, how can I be my whole self in every space so that I can be fulfilled? Because the most valuable thing you still have is time. So whether your time is spent in the office or at home or working from home, that's currency. So I'm here to give you some quick tools. I probably have about 15 minutes or 12 minutes, and then I want to take some questions. So here we go, some quick things. It's not what you're doing, it's who you're being. And we talked about this a little bit last week, Aisha, but I wanted to reiterate that. The question is, how do you feel when you show up in your work environment or with your coworkers? Do you have to prepare yourself to pick up the phone? Do you have to prepare yourself to walk into a meeting? If that's the case, then how you're feeling, who you're being is not necessarily in alignment. It means that something is triggering you, something is taking you off balance. And so there's not a joy that comes when you enter the workspace. And I'm not saying you have to be happy every day, but who you're being is based on your belief system. And so there was a study that said that most people approach their belief about work or their employers is often negative. So employers will say they're lazy, they don't want to work, they're always trying to get over, right? They want a lot, but they're not qualified. Employees or staff will say, my employer doesn't give a dang about me. They have no regard for my personal life. There's no balance. They're not paying me enough. They don't know what they're doing. And that's a belief system that may not be present, but it's often in what you call the back of your mind or your subconscious. And as a result, you operate from that belief system, and that becomes who you're being. So when you're at work and things aren't going right, because you have this belief, if you're the employee, that my employer doesn't care about me and et cetera, when something is difficult, sometimes there's the propensity to like, well, whatever. There's a propensity to fall back or do less because you feel like they're not going to appreciate it. You're not going to get paid. They're taking advantage because you're driven spiritually. No matter what you believe in, you're driven by your belief system at work. And for employers, if you have that belief that your employees are always trying to get over, want more for less, then 9 times out of 10, when someone needs time off, or even when someone's asking for a raise, when they're looking for more flexibility to work from home more days a week, you might initially respond based on what you inherently believe, that old school belief system. And so one of the first tools that I'm going to offer is to check your belief system. Are you driven from a spirit of compassion, or are you driven from an old belief that somebody is out to get you? And forgive me. And check that, because when you're in conversation, check what's coming up. What are you immediately feeling? Are you automatically about to respond in the negative? And that's an internal exercise. I just want you to be mindful that when someone is speaking to you, when someone's asking for something from you from work, or even that person who's triggering you, who's always doing something, whether it's an employer or an employee, if they're triggering something inside of you, just notice where you feel it and ask yourself, what is it I believe about this person that causes me to have no compassion for what it is that they're saying or what they're asking me for? Remember, who you are, who you're being in the workplace is all about you, and it's going to affect the quality of your soul. And so for me, I often live by 3 simple things, 3 tools that I've given people to assist them in life. And they are to get in alignment, to alkalize the body, and to remind yourself of who you are. And so I say align, alkaline, remind. And I'll say it again. Align, alkaline, remind. And so I want to apply these tools today. I'm trying to keep from losing my little top knot in the Zoom space. But vanity be damned. And so the first thing is getting in alignment. What does it mean to be in alignment in the workplace? Well, the first thing is, what is the mission of the company that you're working for? Do you even know? Most of the time when people take a job, they're not necessarily doing the research to see what is the mission of that organization, because as a result, the things that they're asking you to do might be in alignment with their mission. And their mission could be, and I'm going to make up something silly, we want everyone to be unhealthy, right? And so if that's their mission and you find they're giving poison to children, and now you have an issue with doing that part of your task, did you check the mission? Are you in alignment with the belief systems of the company? Because that's what they're paying you for. And many times, if you've ever left a job or question yourself, you might realize, like, I'm not really with what they're about. I don't really, I know Aisha and I can share, when we were in the music industry, there were times when we had to promote records that we didn't really like. And it was very difficult to sell something you don't believe in. And I'm not saying you have to be a complete follower and loyalist to the organization you work for, but you should be aware of the mission. and see if you're in alignment with it. And let's say that fundamentally, okay, I work at UPS, I deliver packages, I'm in alignment with, getting things to people in a specific amount of time. Are you in alignment with the work style of management and leadership? Right? And then furthermore, are you finding purpose in your work? Because let's say you say, well, Kheperah, I'm not into delivering packages. I'm there to do a job. I'm not mad. I'm using UPS as an example. I'm there to deliver, to make sure that the work gets done. I'm just an admin and I process all the invoices. But that means you haven't found any purpose in your work. So spiritually, whenever you show up anywhere, you should just be in some level of alignment with a place you're going to be in for at least 8 to 10 hours a day. Otherwise, you are spiritually spent. And so then it becomes very difficult to get anything extra out of you. You lose your tolerance and compassion for other people. So check your alignment. If you're a person that your belief system is always about doing right by people, then it aligns with a courier system because you want to make sure that customers get delivery. And so to bring the soul into leadership or in the workplace, you have to be present. And to be present means I'm here and I may not subscribe to everything this company is about, but I believe, I'm okay with what they're doing for business practice. And more importantly, I see my purpose here because this is going to get me to the next step. Right? It doesn't mean your whole spiritual belief has to be there, but are you in alignment that this is where you need to be at this time and you're in agreement so that you can get all that you need and give all that you're able in order for the law of reciprocity to return itself to you and take you to the next level. Right? Getting in alignment is really important also when it's stressful. When you have a stressful day, when you're dealing with difficult employers or employees, doing breath work is really important. So before you get ready to start your day, whether you're working from home or in an office, take a moment to do some breath work and bring your energy to the space. So bringing your energy and your vibrational frequency to a space also allows you to flow. So when you sit down, put your right hand over your heart and your left hand over your belly and do 4 deep breaths. Or more importantly, just notice if you do that right now with me, put your right hand on your heart and your left hand on your belly, you'll notice that the breath is happening for you. You don't have to do anything. You just notice that your hand is moving. I'm trying to show you my belly. Your left hand is moving automatically, which means that the breath is serving you. That means that life is constantly showing up for you, even when you're not paying attention. So honor the life inside of you. Get in alignment with the spirit, the breath inside of you, and give 4 deep breaths before you begin and set the tone of your workplace. If you set the tone, if you do some deep breathing, you'll be surprised at how the environment around you shifts so that you'd have a smoother day. When it comes to alkaline, being more alkaline than acidic, using it in the workspace would mean being more proactive, how to get things done, how can we make it happen, versus being acidic, this is not working, this is not possible, they're making me do something I don't want to do, being toxic, right? We have a lot of toxicity in the workplace. And so in your heart, because we're born with the spirit of love and a sound mind, you really don't want the toxicity as much as sometimes we're here for the tea, right? At the end of the day, you want to get in alignment. You want to make sure that there's at least some water at your desk at all times. And you want to hydrate throughout the day. If you're allowed, maybe a little plant, maybe a picture that reminds you of why you're there. It's a picture of your children, your loved ones, your dream home, something that's going to make you feel good inside. Being alkaline could be tuning in to listen to some of your favorite songs when you're on a break. Or if your workplace allows you to listen to music, be mindful of what you're feeding your spirit. So maybe it's about listening to jazz or something inspirational because you want to stay in alignment. The moment you start listening to something that's hard and it's going to take you out of alignment, then all of a sudden you don't feel like working, right? And so alkalizing the space looks like, keeping your desk clean. Organization and order is important. So here's a tool. Try to touch things once. When you're given a task, take it all the way that it can go before you put it down. Take it to the furthest place. So if you know that you're about to open an email from a coworker and you know it's going to be a long story, you know you're going to have to get into it, don't open it unless it's your boss or someone, your supervisor or manager who's saying urgent. Give yourself a moment, allow yourself to be prepared to receive that, because you want to take it as far as you can. So you want to give yourself the uninterrupted time and space to process it. So touch it once. Touching it once doesn't mean open an email and go, oh, okay, let me get back to that. And now you open 5 other emails. And now all of a sudden you feel the weight of, oh my God, I have so much to do and I don't know where to begin. Because spiritually, you just opened up a lot of doors and you gave yourself a lot of weight. But if you take it as far as it can go, you've read it, you've processed, you've answered, you've forwarded it to the next person, and you filed it. Do you know how many open emails or unopened emails I have, or emails that I've answered, but they're just like in the queue and there's just a lot of junk? It took me a long time to clean my email box. So consider touching it once and take that principle home. When you're cleaning, if you notice you might take a piece of clothing and pick it up and be like, okay, and you start talking and doing something else, then you put the shirt down, then you go do something else. You're just transferring the work. So touch it once will keep your work environment in alignment. It'll keep you organized, and it'll actually mitigate stress. So when people come to you for more, you have room to receive. The third is to remind yourself of who you are, and that connects to being in alignment. Every day before you begin your work, take a moment to remind yourself, I am on purpose. I am here right now. I am present and available to receive and to contribute. I am open to new opportunities for my life. I am ready for what life has to bring, both in my work environment and in my home. Just give yourself a few affirmations, and you might even want to do it at your desk. You don't have to do it out loud to announce it to the world, but consider sitting in alignment at your desk, drinking a little water with some lime or some lemon in it, taking a moment to do some deep breathing and reminding yourself, I am here to put my children through college. I am here to pay my mortgage. I am here to pay my rent this month. When you remind yourself of who you are and why you were there, it mitigates all the other stuff. So no matter what's coming your way, it's like, okay, I get it, but I'm here to pay my mortgage. I'm here to save for my house. I'm here to meet my car note. And so unless that's getting in the way of that, I don't need to give it life. We get caught up in everybody's stuff. And just remember, please remember, everybody's going through something. Everyone's got something going on. It doesn't mean they're out to get you. So perhaps shift that paradigm and give people the benefit of the doubt, especially given all that has been happening, I would say in the last couple of years, but literally every day, there's something new happening. And if someone comes in, if you're an employer and someone comes in with an excuse every day, they're late every day, try not to personalize it. Try not to bring your emotions to the space. Just deal with the facts. Listen, this doesn't work out. You're late every day. You need a new plan of action, or consider giving them some tools to help them organize their lives. Be mindful of when we're talking to each other like they're our children or our spouses, because we bring a lot of that into the workplace. So I think my 20 minutes is up, and I'm here to answer any questions. And I thank you for taking the time to receive.
So 20 minutes is a challenge. This was like, how do you compact so much incredible information into such a short amount of time? And you did it. And so thank you so very much, Kheperah. And anyone who is not familiar, I'm going to put her Instagram in the chat because there is a ton of information. And she does say it to remind you, to remind us, align, alkaline, remind. So it plays in my head, and it definitely helps on those days that are challenging, because we all have some of those challenging days. So Kara, I see that your hand is raised, and I hope I pronounced your name correctly. I'm going to unmute you. And Kheperah, this is new because we were doing webinars previously and just had everyone putting stuff in the chat, but I really like the personal interaction. Can you hear us okay, Kara?
I can. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
First of all, thank you for pronouncing my name right. That's rare. So good job. First, deep bow of gratitude to you, Kheperah. I follow your platform, and I miss your Feel Good Fridays. So just again, deep bow to you for just being obedient to your purpose and your call. One of the things that I have a question, I lead a nonprofit here in Nashville, Tennessee. Our mission is just centered around healing of Black women and other women of color. My staff is all Black women. And so me personally, the compassionate side of me really, really is just who I am, because I feel that these women are me. So I know their story even when they don't tell it, right? Mm-hmm. But I do find a challenge with that accountability side because I know them so well, because I go through the same challenges and I can understand and relate. So I would love to hear and you kind of hit on it towards the end, but if you have any kind of direct recommendations or some tools that can help me with that other side of accountability, because compassion is so strong.
Sorry, I muted myself because I find myself amening and I didn't want to interrupt your, thank you so much for that. And I can relate to the fact that women tend to manage more from an emotional space and a compassionate space. And especially if you have a personal relationship with the people you work with, it makes it more difficult, right? So do you go to church? Just curious. She's got to unmute. Can you keep her on unmute so we can be in the dialogue? Yes. I was just going to use a term.
So I listen to, I have a whole thing about that. So I feel like I am the church. So I'm very spiritual, but I don't go to a physical building.
So let me say this. I too am a spiritual being. I was raised in a church, but I haven't been in a church in a while, maybe like consistently, but I was only going to use a term. That's the only reason. There's a term in church where they say that they're a Bible-based church, right? Have you ever heard that term where everything they do, they operate on the Bible? Okay. So I'm just saying that because most women of color can relate to that term. And so you can use the word, which is the protocol for your business, as what you refer to. Right? If you go back to the mission, the protocols, what's in the employee handbook, and I'm doing this because I've done this a lot, it's kind of like blame it on the book. Like, listen, I want to help you. But on page 22 of the manual, it says that if, this happens, this has to happen. And trust me, I really want to help you. But in order for the company to fund, and you see how I'm doing this? I've done that so many times. I've gone to the word, and that's the only analogy to use, because what that does is it separates me from my personal relationship with the person. Yeah. Otherwise, they're listening to me and they feel like I should just always look out and hook them up. The other thing I've offered is professional development tools. And I have worked with, I've been blessed to work with several people that I know and I really care about personally. And I've had to say, okay, I'm going to put this hat on right now. I have to put a hat on. I got to take off my friendship hat. And just by doing that, that distinction psychologically says you are no longer talking to your friend Kheperah, right? Kheperah loves you, but right now, the manager of McDonald's is talking to you, right?
Yeah.
And what I said is, what is it that you need? Because I do care about you. What is it that you need in order to? Is there a workshop? Is there a class? Because I can only give you 30 days, and then we have to make some changes. And again, you're kind of saying it like you're separating yourself, that kind of language. Yeah. It gives them compassion. It says, okay, you haven't checked your emails. Is there a problem with you checking your emails? Okay, do you need a training course? Okay, I'm going to give you a training course. But again, according to management or according to upper management, are you the owner of your business?
I'm the director. Yes, I am. Yeah.
Okay, so that's where it gets sticky. Do you have anybody in between you who can deliver the messages for you?
Some of them are my direct report, but I report to the board of directors. So Perfect. It is, I can definitely deflect and back
Blame
to them.
Blame it on the board. I always say there's always somebody you can always, put the responsibility on, even God. With all due respect, I can say, well, way my spirituality is set up. You know what I'm saying? I got to answer to my ancestors. So I don't know. I've done that so many times. There's always someone you could defer to. And I've used the board many times to support our executive director. I've said, listen, the board said, you know, I want to help you, but the board said. Now, hopefully those people aren't watching this Zoom. But even if understand that you are accountable to the board, and the board
Absolutely.
have that compassion. And so you can also say, you know, as your friend, sometimes I feel like it becomes challenging, like you expect a lot from me as a friend, but I'm really trying to run my business. And if they're really, you can also have that conversation. And then on another note, I want you to do some work to ask yourself, what is the payoff when you operate from a lens of compassion at the cost of your business? Is there some deep to be liked? Is there some deep need that goes beyond even this work, where you might be a people pleaser in other environments and it doesn't serve you, you know? So is it the cost of being liked worth more than sustaining your business? Because somewhere there's some heart healing work. And I would suggest maybe you consider doing some light detox, like the weather's breaking now, so it's easier to eat lighter, like salads and fresh fruits and water. And really just, you know, consider asking the question internally, who am I? What is my purpose? Because sometimes we forget and we begin living for others and not living for ourselves, right? And so who you're being at work is who they're responding to, but it may not be in alignment with who you truly are, you know?
But you done just hit, you got me emotional over here. When you talk about alignment, I mean, I was meditating this morning on some specifics that you just touched on. And so, like I said, I just appreciate your obedience to this call, because that was right on point. And thank you so much, Aisha, for this platform and for answering that question.
Oh, thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
sis. And hopefully I'll see you online soon. Feel Good Fridays, Wellness Wednesdays, you know, all of it is another job. And because of the way that I care about showing up, it's everything, you know, it's the food, it's the crystals, it's the oils, it's what I'm wearing. And I also have a full-time role, you know, at light in my professional life, and I have an LLC. And based on the work that I'm doing in bringing therapeutic services to people impacted by gun violence, it's been pretty busy. So what my prayer is now is to find additional ways to bring content in a way that I love, but without taking so much out of me. Because I too was in a space where I was giving, you know, and I always want to do it at the optimal level. And so it was costing me. And so I had to let go of, oh my gosh, what'll happen if I don't show up tomorrow on a live? And I had to pour into myself and redistribute my talents. And now I'm open to receive what the creator has for me to bring forth in another way. And it might be Feel Good Fridays or it might be something else, but I am open to what that's going to be in a way that keeps me in alignment.
Absolutely. And so, Kara, you asked the perfect question. I'm sure there were other people that had similar questions and thoughts. And so that was for me too, as somebody that runs a business and a nonprofit, and you want to have that compassion for people. So thank you, Kheperah. If you all haven't seen it in the chat, I just placed her Instagram. If you haven't had an opportunity to experience Wellness Wednesdays, Feel Good Fridays, they are on her Instagram. And that may take you a year in itself just to go through all of the incredible content there. I've also placed her website, and I'm going to do it again because the hyperlink didn't come through. But be aware that as someone that registered for the 20-minute training, you will receive an email that has notes, that has links, that has the replay, all the information that you need. And feel free to share it, because this is a platform that we've created for us to be able to learn, to connect, and to grow together. Thank you so much, Kheperah. I appreciate you.
I just acknowledge you for also creating a platform like this so that women, particularly women of color, Black and brown women, can come together and learn from one another. So you are still doing God's work in divine order and on purpose. And I truly love you. Thank you.
Thank you
Oh,
so
peace,
much.
Robin. Thank you so much for joining. Shout out to Tracy Queen. She mentioned that you would be on. Thank you, Megan, for participating. Thank you, Hazel. Thank you, Elle or Ellie. I pray I say your name right. Carrie, Marla, and the one number that doesn't have a name. I thank all of you for showing up and offering your time. I receive that as a divine gift that's priceless. Thank you.
Enjoy your day, everyone.